The guy showed up. The guy didn't show up. Yeah. So I talked with somebody else who was there, and he emailed me like at 6:50. Like, I'm sorry. Can we interview again? So, yeah. Are you ready?
I was born ready. Let's go.
You were born ready.
Let's go.
Miles,
That's it.
are you ready? He always comes in late. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to General Assembly. Nice to see everybody, especially the newly elected reps. Congratulations on your election. Okay, so the phrase of the day is Relit for Life, Friday, be there. Okay? All right? So we'll move into attendance.
Representative Bonsall. Not working.
Okay.
Excuse me. Representative Kerr. Representative Cummins. Representative Ivankovich. Representative Ennis. Representative Haas. Representative Claire Hammond. Representative Hernandez. Representative Kawashima. Representative McCabe. Representative Mulholland. Representative Wynn. Representative Weasicle. Representative Baisley. Representative Cross. Representative Downey. Representative Hammond. Representative Lupton. Representative Karras. Representative Morgan. Representative Perlowski. Representative Villa. Representative Wilkins. Representative Agarwal. Representative Atasholu. Representative Duajandra. Representative Huang. Representative Napfel. Representative Patel. Representative Shah. Representative Thompson. Representative Zhang. Representative Chen. Representative Moore. Representative Weber. Representative Lux. Representative Sanford. Representative Tyken. Parliamentarian Gardner. Speaker Pinder.
Present.
Treasurer Fike. Vice President Douglas. Vice President Hassan Ali. Vice President Hofert. Vice President Patrick. Vice President Nikolic. President Nikolic, excuse me. Representative Wilkins. Representative Wang. Representative Smith. Representative McCarthy. Representative Sadid. Representative Katsafikis. Representative Allen. Any guests? Please stand up and say your name and introduce yourself.
I'm Elizabeth. I will be chairing Academic Integrity Board next year, so I'm here to give approval on the papers.
Emily Hoffman, I'll be an engineering rep next semester.
Caitlin Powell, I'll be an engineering rep next semester.
Garrett Gott, I'll be College of Arts and Sciences rep next year. Mike Kennedy, I'll be a Undergraduate rep this year. Jared Hamilton, I'll be a Arts and Sciences representative next year.
Any other guests? All right, seeing none, we'll start the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll move into board reports. President Niklich.
Okay, hello everyone. First off, congratulations to everyone who won in the election last week. Could you guys stand up if you are going to be returning next year or will be coming for the first time next year? And a round of applause. Okay. Congrats again, guys. And we also had a couple winners at the Student Leadership Awards last night. The most outstanding USG representative was Keith Lupton. I guess Keith's not here. And we also had a most outstanding sophomore, Mintry Wind. He's blushing. Okay, well, we have a very long agenda tonight. I'm sure you all feel how thick this is. It's thicker than last week's. Thought that could never happen. But I'm not going to spend too much time up here. But I did want to officially announce that, oh gosh, I'll get to you in a second. You're blushing now. That next week, the 23rd, next Thursday at 6 o'clock p.m., we'll be having our USG inauguration for the incoming representatives. You're all invited, and it's mandatory if you're a new representative, especially because you need to be sworn in, and that's got to be done at some point. So what better time to do it than over a good dinner? So please block off that time next week, 6 o'clock next Thursday night. That's April 23rd, and the location is Havorka Atrium. And just come prepared to be sworn in and have a great time. We do have one more person that I failed to mention before. It's Justin Kerr, most outstanding orientation leader.
Karen, commuter representative.
What?
Karen Wong.
Oh my gosh, yes, of course. And I'm messing up tonight. Karen Huang also won most outstanding commuter rep, or commuter, not commuter rep. But she is the most outstanding commuter rep too. So. Okay. Open to points.
Is the speaker aware that he won the President's Award from President Snyder?
No. Any real points? No? Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Vice President Hassanali.
All right. So the Smoking Policy Task Force met on Monday, and we just kind of reviewed the policy, how well it's been enforced, what the objectives were, and how the smoking areas are working out. I just want to let everyone know that we're looking to add a couple more smoking areas for students, especially around the residence halls. Those areas are going to be on the north side of the village, near between Twing and Mather House, closer to Euclid, bottom of the hill Greek houses, and additional one on top of the hill across from the residence halls, just because students have requested the more locations. Along with that, the number of violations that occurred over the past year at this point has been about 35 for students, and we anticipate that most of those occurred at the beginning of the fall semester when the policy was just implemented. Also, last week, Margaret Carney came and presented the master plan in the campus center, and we videotaped it, and hopefully Marissa will be making that into a DVD that we can put online in case any students want to really learn about the plan and what's at store for it. We also selected 4 pictures to be put on the 21st birthday cards, and right now they're looking for quotes to put on those cards, so I will be sending an email to GA with the pictures that were selected, and if you guys have any inspirational quotes or something, I'll also list the email address that you can send it to, so those can be added with the cards. Other than that, we have an international student survey made by our own Representative Chen, and they'll be going out to international students this week. And we have 2 resolutions for today. The pervious concrete resolution finally has an addendum, so make sure you read that. And there's also one for asking for the multipurpose room and 1-to-1 fitness center to be reservable by students. Other than that, there will be a fiesta occurring at Student Life Committee this week. So we'll be celebrating a year of many accomplishments, and we will have a list of accomplishments that the committee has done for all of GA next week as well. I am open to points. Yes.
Will you be meeting a pinata?
No, but there might be a chocolate goose involved. All right. Oh, yeah.
For the new reps, when is your committee meeting and where?
My committee meeting is at 6 o'clock and on Thursday in the USG office, and that's the Student Life Committee.
Thanks.
Okay.
Vice President Patrick.
Though we have the budget bill in the agenda today, the budget apparently didn't make it back in from 2 weeks ago. Miles is going to bring it up on his computer. I pulled out his network cable earlier. Anyone coming up here, keep in mind, there's a loose cable. So it'll be up on the screen when we need it. Beyond that, I hope you can all make out the tiny, tiny text that is the summary of the mass funding information. No, not that, not right now. That's what we'll be talking about later. I hope you can all read the tiny, tiny text for the mass funding bill. The detailed, it's got to be at least 10,000, maybe 9,000 line Excel spreadsheet went out. If you really peruse that vigorously, you can have questions about that. I sincerely doubt it. Beyond that, last Finance Committee meeting will be this Friday at 12:30 if any of the new reps are interested in attending. Any questions? Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Vice President Zabinski.
Okay, quick report from Academic Affairs. The Teaching Excellence Awards will be next week, immediately preceding this meeting, starting at 5:30 in the lobby downstairs. And we'll have food and that sort of thing. At about 6 o'clock, we'll give out the awards for those professors that are to be recognized. Also, the 30-hour resolution that Steve has prepared for us is in the agenda tonight. And then just quick from the Election Commission, thanks for everybody who participated in the elections. It was certainly an exciting experience, hopefully for all of you, certainly also for me and the election commission, trying to get everything figured out. We'll have the voting totals posted as soon as possible. I think probably about 100 people, including half the people in this room, have asked when that's going to happen. We just want to make sure that we get those numbers up and get them right and get them from the survey system appropriately. But if there are any questions about that, just let me know. Yep, are there any points? Yeah.
Is the speaker aware that Miles Spread has award too? And also, at the award ceremony, you guys all seen community service one, but really, the thing Steve sent out, for sure,
Oh, yeah.
the thing Steve sent out was Monday for the academic affairs. So it was okay, she said.
I tried to send it out. It's
Oh.
Tuesday. The date was right, the 21st.
Yeah. Yeah, so it will be the 21st. The 21st is next Tuesday, and so it'll be right before this meeting. Yeah.
Is the speaker aware that he won the Share the Vision Award, which means that he promoted a just and humane campus and broadened the horizons of Case students and acknowledged and spread diversity throughout the Case campus and throughout the world?
Thanks. Okay.
Thank you, Vice President Douglas.
Only one thing to talk about tonight. That's Relay. Everything is pretty much in my report. There are only 17 people signed up online. I'm guessing there's a lot more people that are planning on attending. I am going to pass around a sign-up sheet for walking whenever you guys can. We do have to have someone on the track at all times, so we have open spots, I'm just going to walk them, no big deal. But I prefer not to walk for 4 hours. So you can walk for 2 teams at once, is the way that I understand it, if you're representing a fraternity or sorority or anything like that. Just the sheet's going to go around. At the bottom also, if you'd like to help us with our fundraiser, with the setup for that, that's going to be from 10 to 1, selling grilled cheeses. Otherwise, I'm open to points. Yes, sir?
The speaker, these aren't just any grilled cheeses. These are gourmet grilled cheeses.
I am now. Anything else? And I do hope that you guys can also be there, if for nothing else, at 6 o'clock. They do have the team lap, and it would be excellent if we could have all of General Assembly walking behind our banner. Yes, sir?
When do the t-shirts come in?
The T-shirts for Relay,
Today.
they will be picked up tomorrow. But you will get them at the event. That's okay. Thanks, guys. I'm sending this around now.
Thank you, Vice President Hofer.
The IT Open Forum is tomorrow at 11:30 in Twing Atrium. Please come. We're going to be developing a plan to let students know when internet outages occur, and we're also going to have pizza. I am open to points. I believe it's from our very own Bon Appetit, and I can't speak as to what kind it is. Any other points?
This is not related, but the weight printer it has really bad printing quality. It's like printing lines all over.
Sure, no problem. Any?
Speaker aware that the test printer in Carl's comments was amazing, and we should highly, highly recommend it because it's so fast and amazing. It works so amazingly.
If I could, did you like the fact that it was a USB hookup?
I thought, okay, it was complicated because if you didn't make the right kind of PDF, it wouldn't print it. It wouldn't even recognize it. But if you had the right PDF, it was fine. I think if there was an option, it would definitely be good because as a math user, you can't use the printing system very well. So having that option is very good.
Okay. Any other points? All right.
Thank you. Treasurer Fike.
Open to
Vice President Hassanelli.
Do you have personal experiences with Somali pirates?
No, that was actually a quote that came on the heels of an accusation. I was embezzling money, and I said something to the effect that some me being sort of
Thank you. President Nikolic.
The question still remains, are you embezzling money?
No comment? Okay. We'll move on to caucus reports. Are there any caucus reports?
2 weeks ago.
Representative Tyken.
The nursing caucus has a meeting with Dean Weigel this week. That's it.
Okay. Any other caucus reports? Okay, seeing none, we will move into Academic Integrity Board.
Okay. Hi guys, like I said, my name is Liz Smith. I am a member of the Academic Integrity Board. And every year when we bring in new members, we have to come to USG for approval. So unfortunately, none of them were able to make it here tonight. So I'm going to tell you their names and their majors and just a little brief background on each of them. The first one is Caitlin Sapicchio, who is a second-year student. Her majors are political science and history. And she's involved in Alpha Chi Omega. She's a tour guide for admissions and a volunteer at Rainbow Babies. Caitlin Callahan is another second year. Her majors are history and American studies. Other organizations, she's a tour guide, a programmer for WRUW, and a member of Mock Trial. John Backman, second year student, English major. Other organizations, he's really involved in intramural sports. And Danielle Bly, who is a third-year accounting student who's involved in Alpha Kappa Psi, Beta Alpha Psi. She's a tutor through ESS. And so those are our 4 people. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I find it interesting that there's no engineers on the board. Was there a lack of applications, or?
We didn't get any engineers apply for the board this year. If any of you are engineers and want to apply next year, we encourage that. Okay, good.
All right, we'll move into discussion on the nominees. Vice President Hassanali.
Move to vote unanimous consent.
There's been a motion. Okay, is there any dissent? Seeing none, the nominees are confirmed. All right, we will move into nominations for treasurer, and then we'll move into nominations for secretary. So the floor is now open for nominations for treasurer. Vice President Hassanali.
I move to nominate, I nominate Sean Landry.
Okay. Any more nominations for treasurer? Okay, seeing none, we'll keep the nominations open till next GA. So if you think of anybody, send an email to Parliamentarian Gardner so he can email them. Okay? The floor is now open for nominations for secretary. Representative Hernandez.
I nominate Karen Blum.
Vice President Hassanali.
I nominate Representative Weber.
Representative Wang.
I nominate Representative Shaw.
Really? Okay. I thought you were leaving. Oh. Wow. Okay, are there any more nominations for secretary? Okay, seeing none, we'll keep the nominations open until next GA. If you think of somebody, email Parliamentary Gardner. All right, we'll move into old business. At this time, is there any old business? Oh, I'm sorry. Open forum, I skipped open forum. Opening the floor for open forum. Representative Haas.
Wednesday evening, I arrived in the Berkeley parking lot at 2 in the morning and was tailgated by a really sketchy car with black windows, like these windows that tried to get in. So once we got inside, it still was waiting outside the parking lot. So we called security, and the security guard's like, oh, they were like, is there a security guard in the tower? And I was like, no, there's no security guard. They're like, well, wait around, the security guard should be coming. So out of this sketchy car comes a security guard, and I'm like, oh, I think it is a security guard. And the police was like, oh yeah, they don't have parking passes. They just tailgate students in whenever the shift starts. And I was about to be murdered at 2 in the morning because of the security guard. And I was like really upset. So we really need to contact them and say that the fact that they don't have, I don't know if like they're supposed to park somewhere else and they just tailgate in. But the police officer thought it was completely okay that me and my 4 other friends in my car were like shivering and like not sure what to do. So you can work on that. I don't know if that's all we need. I don't know who to call. Because I was calling the police. So I don't know.
Ali will take care of it. Are there any other points for open forum? Representative Tyken.
One of my friends who's a nurse who does morning clinicals, and in the morning she was called to have an escort, and she got yelled at this week by the lady who said that she can no longer call for escort services because she can't call every week. She has like overused her escort privileges. Is this a thing?
Night or during the day?
This was at 6 o'clock in the morning, and up until this week, it was pitch black at 6 o'clock in the morning. So, what's the deal with that?
I'll find out.
Thanks.
Any other points for open forum? Representative Hernandez.
So, since there was no candidate running for Vice President of Finance, what's the procedure for that? To fill that position?
Vice President Zabinski.
Okay, since, I mean, there were writing candidates, but none of them were eligible under the terms that are set forth in the guidelines for the position. So what will most likely happen is that the next General Assembly will open the floor for nominations. And hopefully, you know, before that's done, we'll be able to identify eligible people who might be interested.
Representative Haas.
Do you have to, like, does the person need to already be elected for next year? Or is anybody eligible?
The eligibility requirement that's the most limiting is that you have to have served for 1 full semester minimum on the finance committee. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're elected to this body or not. It's, I mean, that's really the rule that cuts most people out.
Vice President Douglas.
Any idea how many people that leaves eligible? Just out of curiosity.
I mean, I defer to Vice President Patrick on that.
Off the top of my head, no more than 20 people, or no, not even 20 people, excuse me, no more than about 15 people. Yeah, most of them were to the committee from 2 or 3 years ago who graduated. They do that occasionally.
Any other points for open forum? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into old business. Is there any old business? Vice President Hassanali.
I move to introduce resolution R18-11.
All right, is there a speaker in the pro?
Hi, everybody. I received an addendum with pricing for the pervious concrete, and you should see it. I don't know what page it's on, but it's in Appendix A on 12 and 13. So it is significantly more expensive than traditional asphalt, but I guess the costs are worthwhile. So, open to points.
Just out of curiosity sake, can you explain how different
Ice. They have the sweepers, or I don't know what they're called. They have. Is anybody else? Is Trevor here? No. Okay. The blue. They have a special machine, and it just basically sloughs the ice off. Yes. And snow and ice. Yes. Anything else? Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a speaker President Nicholas. All right. All those in favor of Resolution R 18-11, please raise your hand. Only elected representatives can vote. So new reps, please don't vote. All opposed? You got Skylar. Any abstentions? All right, seeing none, the resolution passes. Is there any other old business? Vice President Hassanali.
I move to introduce Bill B 18-11.
All right, is there a speaker to the pro?
As I previously said before, appears that the budget actually didn't get included, and that we actually have 2 copies for whatever reason of the mass funding bill. The budget bill did not get in here, so we don't actually have text of the budget bill in the agenda. We do, however, have the budget. So this is the, yes?
No, this is literally the bill that was introduced last 2 weeks ago. It's the wrong one.
It was the wrong one last week.
Submitted first time around.
Okay. I'm going to, propose that we go back to doing the other bills first, so we have something to actually talk about. I mean, we have the budget, but we don't have actually a bill to go with it. I could amend every single clause in this one. That's what makes most sense to me. I'm not open to point.
Vice President Hassanali.
I move to refer the bill to, I move to table the bill for like 10 minutes or so. Move the table.
Okay, is there a second? All right.
We're going to just put it on the table. Can we do that for a while?
Okay. All right, it's on the table until it is taken off.
All right.
Okay. Is there any other old business? Vice President, not yet. Representative Hernandez.
I move to introduce Bill B 18-12.
Okay, is there a second? All right, is there a speaker in the pro? Great.
I included one, I don't know, amendments, a certain number of amendments to the election bylaws. I hope you all had a chance to read it in the past week. If you have any suggestions, you can propose those when I sit down. I really don't have anything else to say about this, so I'm open to points.
What would you consider the most substantial changes to the election bylaws?
Seriously?
In your opinion?
I'd really not want to tell everyone else what's the most important things to them. I'll trust that in the past week they were able to figure out what's important to them.
Still, if you could please point out the top 3 that you would say are the most important.
Just for clarification.
I'd say the most important things were putting into the Constitution and out of the election bylaws how many reps there would be, or how many students there would be per representative. There's not much that's really changed by the amendments. Or this, even how about the amendment that I proposed today? That's one of the more substantial changes, the one that's at the back of your agenda.
Could you explain that one?
Well, the wording's pretty clear, but basically it's saying that you can't use USG property for your campaign, and you can't promote within the USG office.
Okay.
Yes.
I was wondering about the increase in the amounts for the financial
Oh.
regulation section.
Yeah.
The way it has been amended by the judicial board, it allows gifts and donations up to a value of $200. Can you talk about that?
That would make a total of $300 could be spent on campaigns. Basically, what's happening there is the judicial board identified that what's really important in the campaign is giving the people an opportunity to get their message out. And there are really two ways you can do that. You could be super creative, or you could spend a little bit of money. We didn't change the amount of money that an individual could spend. That's still at $100. But we did say that you are allowed to have some kind of fundraiser or something, or collect donations to fund your campaign as well. So if you're not spending your own money to get your message out, you could at least build a team of supporters, which takes a lot of effort in order to get your message out. And then, of course, you could probably just do it without spending any money if you wanted to. I don't think that the financial restrictions, I don't think $300 is really a substantial amount. If someone really wanted to do that, that's okay. You could probably do just as much effective campaigning with $100. It really just provides a little additional room for someone who needs a little bit more help getting their name out there, who might otherwise be unknown.
Just for clarity, this is exec positions, not regular representative. Or is this everything?
Pretty sure it's both. Yeah. There's I mean, a $100 limit on exec positions and a $50 limit on representative positions, but the $200 fundraising is open to both.
There are more points.
Bring them on.
Forgive me if this was changed and I'm just not aware of it, but was there anything added to indicate whether or not that $100 that the candidate spends is actual money that they spend, or a value of $100 would?
It's,
for example, color printing and PBL that the students have access to.
it's a value, yes. Now, if you use, I mean, it'd be up to the election commission, but possibly if you're using something that you own, I'm not going to make you depreciate a portion of the cost towards the, the use. But if you had chalk on hand from a previous election, you'd have to include a portion of that cost in this race.
Could maybe an amendment be proposed that would make that a little more clear? I'm speaking
It's pretty clear. It says $100 or equivalent value of property, something along that lines.
Okay, if that's in there,
Yeah. We actually changed the wording from what it was before, which, as an accounting student, I knew the wording that they used didn't actually mean anything. So we did change it to words that meant something, and it should be pretty clear.
Okay. Representative Haas.
Has any representative candidate ever proposed to spending $100 in the last, for a representative, not for VP?
Well, representatives are at $50, so they wouldn't be allowed to. But I have not spoken to any representatives on the amount that they spent, so I have no clue.
So this hasn't been regulated? There haven't been any complaints before?
Basically, the way it works is the election commission, if they suspect the person spent too much money, would demand that the candidate produce receipts or justification. And as far as I know, no election commission has ever made such a demand of a candidate.
All right, if there are no more points, is there a speaker in the con? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to discussion on the bill. Vice President Zabinski.
I'd like to propose an amendment on the financial regulations section to remove of their own money and to include after gifts and donations from supporters are not exempt from the spending cap or are not exempt from the candidate's spending.
Okay, could you repeat the amendment again?
Wait, 12 seconds then. What's this article number?
Okay, so it just should be to remove the words of their own money. Oh, I'm sorry, this is section F of Article 5.
Yeah.
So it'd be to remove the words "of their own money" after the $100, and then change after gifts and donations from supporters to put "are not exempt from the candidate spending cap," and also to remove the words "may not exceed a value of $200."
So you want to remove "of their own money"
and "may not exceed the value of $200." And change it to say gifts and donations are not exempt from the candidate's spending cap.
So basically, you want to keep it the way it is.
Okay, is there speaking the pro for the amendment?
Okay, there are a couple reasons that I feel like this is something that needs to be kept the way it is. Mostly, I just know personally going through elections, I know that the judicial board felt that $300 wasn't a very large sum of money, but I just think that at least to a number of students in the student body that might be interested in these positions, that is a lot of money. And so I think that we need to keep it as low as possible. Also, this is just a really difficult thing to enforce, speaking both from just imagining ways you could enforce it, and also from the election commission standpoint, thinking if a candidate spent $300, in their campaign, not donations, just $300 of their own money, it would be very difficult to show that that was the candidate's own money as opposed to the money of supporters. They could just say it was supporters. I mean, I'm not questioning necessarily that they would be dishonest. I just say it would be very easy for that to become a problem. So, I mean, if there are any points.
Seeing none, is there a speaker in the con?
Okay, the reason that I would define it as not a lot of money is because it's, as I said before, the exact same amount of money for the person. So you're not requiring any candidate to spend any extra money of their own in order to promote their campaign. Each individual will be doing just the same. The difference is, are they able to motivate enough other people to support their campaign? And it gives those people who don't have the popularity of everyone else a chance at participating in elections. Now, in terms of keeping track of who spends what money, each candidate is required to keep accurate and detailed records of what they've spent money on. So in terms of keeping receipts, if they use a credit card, that would say who it came from. Obviously, there'd be some ability to interpret where the money came from, or the election commission would have some flexibility in trying to enforce this because there is going to be some uncertainty where it came from. However, obviously, trying to get the candidate supporter would then be somewhat responsible as well, which means the candidate's responsible for identifying where funds came from. So in reality, I don't think it's that imposing on any candidate, because if you want to motivate people, you're free to do so. The money isn't really going to help get your message out unless you know how to spend it well, which leads to highlighting better candidates if they're able to do that sort of thing. So overall, I think it makes things a little more flexible, which is why the judicial board changed that ruling. No, there's a restriction there which says that you need to be on campus. That's in order to prevent that sort of thing happening. So really it's, can you motivate the people who have the possibility of voting for you?
Don't the current bylaws state that anyone, any donations to your campaign would be included in that $100?
Yes, but that's been rewritten. That is the section.
I don't really understand your focus.
The current thing is there's a $100 maximum no matter where the source is derived. It's changed to for an exec position, it's $50 for a representative position. It would be changed to the candidate can still spend up to $100 and can collect from members of the electorate, the student body, up to an additional $200 in order to support their campaign.
So if I don't currently have a job, how can you delineate which money in my bank account, which monies in my bank account has been brought in from previous work activities of my own, and which have been given from parents?
As a dependent of your child, of your parents, however they're willing to support you and declare part of your money, whatever, that's yours. Really, I doubt many students are going to say, yeah, great. You've got some technical problems that it's possible that parents got money in there, but it's really up to the candidate to run a fair race. I don't think that situation would come up that often, or even if it did come up, would pose that big of a problem. In the long run, I think it just increases flexibility, and it's not that big of a deal if a parent wanted to support you on the $100 side. The $200 side is really where the issue was.
Has the judicial board thought of any way to ensure that students are not just simply funding themselves and then saying that they received donations?
The judicial board is not in that capacity, so no. But the judicial board does trust that an election commission will be of sufficient competence to establish systems necessary.
All right, if there are no more points, we'll move to discussion on the amendment. Vice President Douglas.
I really like this amendment, and I realize that the letter of it is really confusing and hard to grasp and make it seem like how we're going to enforce this. I think it's more just the idea that encourages candidates to go out and to seek other means of sponsorship. Because of that value limitation, it really restricts a candidate in a lot of ways. Just if a local business wants to donate something to their campaign or something like that, and it is more work to go out and get sponsorships for a campaign than it is to just spend your own money and print posters. And I think this encourages you by essentially giving you the opportunity to increase your spending limit by seeking alternative sources. And I mean, just to try and be comparative, for the student government race at OSU, I talked to their campaign manager, and they spend $10,000 on the presidential campaign there. So it's not unreasonable to think, and that's all through sponsorships. And it's so in the sense that we are kind of a smaller political governing body, it makes sense that we should encourage and reward people that seek the fundraising. No, you can't ask someone exactly where did you get all of these funds, but again, it's the idea of where you went out and you sought alternative sources of funding. I mean, it's going to be pretty obvious if someone fundraises $1,000 in something or puts on an event that wasn't paid for but was donated $1,000 or something. It's not necessarily down to that specific number, and I don't think that was ever the intent. And that's why there isn't a really good way of enforcing it.
So is your statement in support of the amendment Vice President Zabinski proposed, or the original amendment that's in the Constitution? Okay. So against Vice President Zabinski's. Okay.
Point of order. Could the speaker clarify what the amendment on the amendment is?
The amendment on the amendment is basically to put the bylaws as they are. So to strike the amendment that's proposed by Parliamentarian Gardner and the Judicial Board. So to keep things as they are.
And that would be just leaving that $100 cap?
Correct.
Gotcha.
All right. So the discussion is on that amendment. All right. Representative Haas.
I'm in support of, I don't support VP Zabinski's amendment because I feel like Case as a campus is small enough where you have like the amount of area that you can campaign door to door, and in addition we get printing, and we're a very like computer oriented campus in which you have lots of access to different ways to sort of like show your face through the internet. And I feel like I mean, have we had an instance where anyone has spent over $100? Like, I mean, of all the people in the room here, has anyone spent near $100 running?
anyways, I just think that there are means in which to do this. That it's not necessarily necessary to ask people to ask how to call the students to
Okay. President Nikolic.
I worry that this is, by having this amendment, not the amendment on the amendment in place in our election bylaws, that we're unevening the playing field a little more, and that it could get to the point where we have several well-qualified candidates on a specific race, but one candidate is simply more connected with businesses, or more connected with entities outside of case, and that because of that, the choice of the students becomes, well, the ability of the students to, I guess, gain equal access to each of those candidates becomes much more foggy, I guess, and that we're taking the choice out of the students' hands and possibly the third parties who simply give more money to a specific candidate.
Vice President Douglas.
I guess, and I don't want to turn this into, what's the best way to run an election, but I think I would be encouraged to vote for someone that had the ability to make connections like that with local businesses and other people. I think that that's important that you're electing someone with those connections, organizations, because those are going to carry over. And I also don't, I understand that we don't want to jade an election, but I also don't know if it's necessarily fair to assume that the student body is just going to vote for whatever is going on in the campaign. We're going to see through. I mean, I think a flashy campaign on this campus where someone spent thousands of dollars would be looked upon unfavorably by the student body because it would be that, it would be flashy.
Vice President Patrick.
Not necessarily that I disagree one way or another on the amendment. I'm still sort of on the fence, but just as a counter to what President Nikolic said, I think the fact that we're not a large campus. Most people know the people that are running, or they know, they have a bunch of friends who know the person well enough that I feel it counters that. Whereas at OSU, there's 50,000 people, and you're probably not even going to be connected by 3 degrees of separation to the candidate. So it's sort of the carpeting the campus with advertisements would be much different there. So in the end, I'm still on the fence.
Representative Hammond. Just go ahead.
Well, I'm not completely tied one way or the other, but I don't know if it's necessarily fair to limit the way your students want to campaign. If students want to go door to door and try that kind of approach, they're more than welcome to. But if they want to also, use their connections that they formed on campus and the community, then I don't think that they should be stopped from doing that either. If that requires more money than another campaign approach, I don't feel like that should be restricted either.
Okay. Vice President Zabinski.
Just a quick clarification. Businesses and community members would not be able to donate any of that $200. As it's written, only supporters that are eligible voters, as prescribed by the election bylaws, would be able to do the donation. So essentially, you would have to fund your extra $200 with donations from other students. Again, that gets back to my point that I just don't feel like this amount of money is appropriate for students to be spending on themselves and each other. And that's just coming as someone who couldn't spend that much money if I felt like I had to fund my own campaign in that way.
Representative, what's your last name? Weisicle. That's what I thought. Granted. Representative Hernandez.
So I'm just concerned about enforcing this because I think that it is going to be a little hard to determine where some of the money came from, and I'm concerned that why would you have, even though it seems like a good guideline, I'm just nervous about putting something in the rules when you're not sure if it can really be enforced.
Okay. Parliamentarian Gardner.
It's as enforceable as the current rules are. So, in reality, how well it's enforced has nothing to do with this discussion. But I think, just as a counter what VP Zelensky was saying, the ability to reach out, first of all, it's kind of inappropriate to pass a judgment on what's the appropriate actions of another person. But if you're, in my personal opinion, if you're able to convince enough people to support you, but in reality, you've got a very limited scope of people that you know. You don't know very many people on campus, but you know you can make an impact. You're able to convince a small group of people to trust you and support you. I think it's probably prudent of us to allow that person to have a chance to get their message out.
Okay, one more minute for discussion. Vice President Hofer.
I just wanted to address the point that you made about it being just as enforceable. As a formal election commissioner and serving as an associate commissioner, it's relatively easy when someone's spending their own money. You can request receipts if you feel this person has gone over. It's a simple equation. Asking them to provide documentation that they've received funds from someone else is substantially more challenging. And I can see lines being blurred and the election commission being put in a hard place trying to decide if this money that was spent was legitimately earned and spent or if rules were being kept.
Vice President Hassanali.
I like the previous question.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any dissent? All right, we will vote on the amendment that has been proposed by Vice President Zabinski, which strikes the amendment proposed by Parliamentarian Gardner, which puts the election bylaws back to the way they are, as stated. Okay, so all those in favor of the amendment that Vice President Zabinski, yes.
So voting in favor means that the cap will be added.
Yes, voting in favor means everything stays as it is, and voting opposed means that you want the amendment that Parliamentarian Gardner proposed to be passed to mean that things are changed. All right? Okay? All in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand. Yes. All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the amendment passed with a vote of 26 in favor and 10 opposed. All right, and 1 abstention. All right, move back in discussion on the election bylaws. Vice President Hassanali. All right, second. Okay. Is there any dissent? All those in favor of the election bylaws amendments, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the bill passes. Is there any other old business? Vice President Hassanali.
I move to introduce General Assembly Bill B18-13, operating bylaws.
All right, is there a speaker in the pro?
I come bearing no amendments on this. Shoot, we never introduced we didn't introduce my amendments to the last one. All right. I'm open to questions on the amendments to the operating bylaws.
Okay. Oh, Vice President Petrick.
Nope. Just pretend nothing changed and vote yes.
All right, is there a speaker in the con? Seeing none, we'll move to discussion. Representative Hernandez.
Move to call previous question.
All right, is there any dissent? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of Bill B 18-13, please raise your hand. Representative Thompson.
Point of order. It says in the actual bill in the agenda that Appendix A will become the bylaws, but Appendix A is
The operating bylaws are also listed as Appendix A. It's just it was the Appendix A from last week.
Oh.
Okay, we'll go back into the vote. All those in favor of Bill B 18-13, please raise your hand. You okay? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, seeing none, the bill passes. President Nikolic.
Move to introduce Bill B 18-11.
Yes, okay. Is there a speaker in the pro? President Nikolic.
I would just like to refer this to committee.
That's, I didn't realize that's what you were trying to do. Just because of the technicality issue, and because I'm sure you're all looking forward to thoroughly reviewing every single group's allocation. All right? Right? Anybody? Don't disagree with me. You're all going to read every allocation, and you're going to come with questions. What does this group do? What's this event for? So on and so forth. We can talk about this next week.
Okay, the bill has been referred back to committee. All right, is there any other old business? Vice President Petrick.
I also would like to move to introduce Bill 18-15 and
Just don't
any
introduce it.
motion to refer to committee would also be.
Just don't introduce it.
Okay. All right, we're still in old business. Is there any other old business? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into new business. Is there any new business? Vice President Hassanali.
I move to introduce General Assembly Resolution R 18-12.
Do I hear a second? All right, is there a speaker in the pro?
This is a resolution for the one-to-one multi-purpose room. So we have one in VL, but, well, I'll just read the points. Whereas there's a lack of practice space available for the student groups on campus, whereas some performance groups specifically require facilities with mirrors to practice, whereas current available multi-purpose rooms are frequently blocked and in high demand, whereas one-to-one is owned and operated through CWRU and has an available multi-purpose room that could be used. Be it resolved that the undergraduate student government act in full session that the one-to-one fitness center allow its multi-purpose room to be reserved by student groups when classes or other activities are not occurring in the facility. That a calendar and process be created to allow student groups to reserve the multi-purpose room. That this resolution be sent in its entirety to the following people: Dick Jamison, Bryn Moda, Dave Dials, Steve Thompson, and Glenn Nichols. I'm open to points.
Could the speaker comment as to any conversations had with Bryn, the director of one-to-one fitness, about this issue?
We talked to her before spring break, and what we concluded was that they have a multi-purpose room that they use for various activities like, I think, yoga and Pilates, but there's other times where it's open, and that hopefully would allow us, these students here, to get in there and use it.
Okay, is there a speaker in the con? Seeing that, we'll move to discussion on the resolution R 18-12. President Nikolic.
What's the space currently used for, and what will students who pay to use one-to-one think about students not paying to use one-to-one using the space?
The space is currently used just for activities when it's scheduled by one-to-one. Otherwise, it largely
afforded by students. The use of a multi-purpose room, and especially a room with mirrors, has been continuously requested by numerous student organizations. And so since we're going to have the capacity to build one, this allows us to really open up a new space as students' timing for when they would use this facility does not necessarily correlate with one-to-one with whole activities and other events in the space.
Vice President Patrick.
I'd just like to draw the distinction between people using one-to-one and student organizations who need space to use one-to-one. It's not as if we're letting in anyone in the archery club who wants to, go to take a yoga class and have smoothies and do whatever. I don't know. I've been in one-to-one once freshman year. Whatever else they do in there. These are groups that are using it when it's simply free. So I don't think it's really impinging on anybody or taking away something that other people paid for.
Representative Haas.
I'm a member of one-to-one, and I know that they use that room for stretching and for things like that when you want to do crunches by yourself or something like that. And often the times listed, people will work out afterwards and beforehand. And I know that there are classes almost every night of the week, during the week, between I would say 3:30 all the way until 7:30 or 8:30. So I'm not really sure when students would use it other than those times. And I do think it would be taking away space because people do use it when it's not being used. And I feel I don't know how you would regulate, make sure that those students who come in, we all have to swipe to get in, they have a little scan card. So I don't know if they have a card reader, but there's no way that you would know that you're stopping them from using the rest of the facilities. And are you letting them use the locker room as well? I feel do they get a towel when they come in? I feel there are a lot of things you pay for that they could potentially be taking. I don't know how much we own one-to-one as Case. The whole thing.
Case completely owns and operates one-to-one. It's listed as an auxiliary service of the university. And as for your other points, when talking with Bryn and mentioning when the classes do occur, part of it was that it would be coordinated along with putting it in the calendar that way. So they do have mechanisms that they can set in place to monitor who would use it. And it's not necessarily saying it would be like an archery club. This is specifically to help performance groups who would use it.
Right. I understand it's ridiculous, but also they use the same schedule for an entire semester. So let's say one of the Indian dancer clubs is using it for a time period. I don't know how hard it would be for them to update that on their schedule every week because they have it all listed by half hour. So I feel if we were adding groups and taking groups out, they don't update it on a week-to-week basis. So I don't know how you would let people know who are paying $40 to $60 a month to go there that they can't use that room to stretch.
That seems like a calendar issue that has to be sorted out. If you reserve it, then it's just like I imagine the procedure would be the same way that it happens for the multi-purpose room in the field, where they do have similar activities that it's open when it's not in use, that they do schedule activities in some sort in that fashion. But if a calendar and a proper procedure is set up, I do not see any reason why we could not allow the use of some performance groups to be able to use the facility when it is not going to impinge on the members of one.
Representative Downey.
Is there any way that we could integrate this with the current reservation system for the field instead of creating a whole other system?
That's why I wanted to send it to Dave and Steve Thompson as well. This is part of the general discussion we had with that.
Representative Karras.
What are the hours of one-to-one, and will the one-to-one representative mirror the hours for the?
I believe one-to-one. I'm not sure, but do you remember?
I think it's 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
So it would be a little bit later after, and the main rush hour for one-to-one is till about 7:30. So you can use the evening time.
What's your last name? Okay. Future representative.
Yeah, I just want to say that this would be really helpful.
in the Wade room, the big room that used to be the study rooms. And it was extremely hard because we had no idea what he looked like, and I had, like, the dances I hadn't seen, like, I hadn't been able to see myself, because we're not allowed to use Mather Dance, and the multi-purpose room in Wade, or the multi-purpose room in Beale is extremely hard to get. So if there was another space open with mirrors, like, I know that would be helpful for the footlighters, that would be helpful for, like, many of the dance groups. So I think
We'll have 2 more comments for discussion. Representative Tyken.
I think this is really unfair because students are paying out of their pocket to use the space, and I think it's really unfair to tell people that they can't exercise in that room and they paid. Is there a way that these groups could pay not as much but a fee so that they're paying as well to go there? And would these groups object to paying like a $40 fee since they have budgets?
Representative Thompson.
Is there a reason why this resolution focuses on one you argue pay rather than Mather Dance Center, for example? Which I don't know why they're not allowed to.
This arose out of a discussion that we had with members from one-to-one field, and they said that they had a facility, and we discussed this idea, and they seemed in favor of it. So that's why that's specifically targeted. I see no reason why next year committee can look at Mather Dance Center.
All right. One last comment, Vice President Hofer.
Just for clarification then, you've spoken with one-to-one, and they're in favor of opening up their rooms for students to use?
We received the correct.
Representative Ennis.
Is USG prepared to accept any damages costs that students use a facility that people use to pay for, like, if damage is done, who would be responsible, like, when you're broken?
I can answer that.
Vice President Patrick.
The student group would pay for that, not. I mean, it's the same way when they break anything, though. It's not a specific, it's the same issue with anywhere on campus.
Okay. All right. I'm going to end discussion in the interest of time. Representative Tyken. Granted. Representative Thompson. All right, do I hear a second? Okay. All those in favor of Resolution R 18-12, please raise your hand in favor. This is in favor. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Okay, the resolution passes, 25 in favor, 10 opposed, 3 abstentions. All right, is there any other new business? Representative Hernandez.
I move to introduce resolution R18-15.
Is there a second? Is there a speaker in the pro?
All right, we'll keep this quick. This came out of discussions with Jeff Wolkowitz, and I brought along Representative Bonsall over here. And basically, once you achieve senior status, you have to have 30 hours at case before you can graduate. And in his particular case, he wanted to go abroad and wanted to graduate in his, like at the winter semester, his senior year. So he could have gotten 18 credits done but even though he had all of his requirements done for all of his, you know, major and minors and everything, he would have had to go a whole nother semester that 4th year in order to graduate according to the handbook. So I'm open to points.
What was the reason for the 30-hour requirement?
Well, I mean, I guess like everyone can kind of identify with the issue that you want to, like the school wants you to finish some part of your degree at Case, and so that's why there's a hour requirement to begin with. But no one was really sure why it was 30 hours and it wasn't some other hour requirement. So that's kind of why I put in be it resolved number 3, that in case 30 hours was, you know, appropriate hour requirement, that it be reviewed and changed back if necessary. So.
Okay, is there a speaker in the con? Seeing none, we'll move to discussion on resolution R 18-15. President Nicholas.
I think this 30-hour requirement has had a significant impact on a number of students at the university. Me being a senior, I've seen a lot of people in my years that haven't been able to do study abroad and haven't been able to do, you know, whatever else they plan on doing their whole, you know, undergraduate career. Then they got to their senior year and they're, you know, they got the news they couldn't do it. So I really think this goes kind of against one of the things that the university is really pushing for, which is study abroad. It's in the strategic plan, it's outlined, and it's something that the university wants to see a lot more of. They want to see a much higher percentage of our students doing study abroad, which compared to our peer institutions, we have like no one doing study abroad.
Any other points for discussion? Vice President Douglas.
This should have been brought up, I think, with the last one, but according to the USG website, it's a concern about the number. According to the USG website, we've already passed a resolution R 1812, and that was for the sale of temporary parking passes. And up to date, the most current one we have is R 18-13, a resolution to improvements to the university printing. So I don't know where we were wrong in numbering. If this is supposed to be 14, or maybe the last one was supposed to be the last one.
Okay, thanks. Any other points for discussion? President Nicholas. All right, is there any dissent? Okay, all those in favor of resolution R 18-15, please raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the resolution passes. Is there any other new business? Representative Hernandez.
Move to introduce Bill B 18-14.
Is there a second? Is there a speaker in the pro?
Man, number 4, fourth thing we're trying to amend this year. Killed my GPA. All right. So most of the changes were, again, moving things to the right place and all that nonsense. The only real change is towards the end of the document, which corresponds to one of the constitutional amendments that the campus approved last week. That amendment basically gave a more concrete structure to what judicial board does and what they're responsible for. And so then the new section that's in the funding bylaws is basically setting up ways to mediate or arbitrate cases, disputes of student organizations, and also handle certain violations of rules and regulations of USG. In terms of the mediation or arbitration, essentially what happens is if the VP of Finance or anyone on the Finance Committee is aware of some kind of problem, or if the student organization comes expressing some kind of problem that happened, the VP of Finance can sit them down, or some designee of the VP of Finance can be sit the groups down and basically try to work out a solution. And the purpose there is try and reach a compromise and solve the problem. And then if that doesn't happen, the VP of Finance can either force the group to go to some kind of arbitration process, or they can elect to do so, in which case the VP of Finance would serve, or again, designee would serve as some kind of impartial describer of what happens, and the parties to the dispute would come, and the judicial board would try and decide what's the most fair and beneficial way to move forward. And then the other thing about rules and regulations, there's currently wording in the bylaws on what to do if a student group or a student in a student group violates or has misconduct. That was kind of vague language, and I think basically the new wording has a more concrete system for the VP of Finance or designee would conduct an investigation and would, if they found something went wrong, they would serve in a prosecuting role, and the judicial board would in there try and see if a violation occurred, in which case the VP of Finance and judicial board would try and come up with a appropriate solution. It's pretty close to what is currently the case now. It's just a little more concrete with who has what responsibilities.
Would these trials essentially be open to the public?
No. I mean, really the wording is the parliamentarian has the authority to set up any necessary rules necessary for a fair trial, and then the decision would be published. But no, you wouldn't be letting other people just come in to watch these events.
All right, is there a speaker in the con? Seeing none, we'll move into discussion. Vice President Patrick.
I just like to clarify the reason we're submitting this and the reason I like it. It kind of, to some extent, what it does here is it gives the VP of Finance an out, so they don't have to be the villain. In all the cases where this has occurred, where we've had issues, I've gone to some student group exec meetings. I've sat down between two people who have issues. And it's pretty much all arbitration. And it's pretty easy to come to the end of the day to, you're not prescribing sanctions. You're not giving punishments. You're just kind of laying down some fairly obvious common sense that people are having a little trouble with. So I don't foresee this being this is going to be used to solve. This is where I can J-board meetings like twice a week to deal with student group issues. This creates another level. The VP of Finance really needs to tell someone, guys, you have to do this, you have to do this this way. Or what's that opportunity to have something more official and go beyond arbitration. That's the way I see it, and that's why I support it.
Taryn Gardner.
Yeah, just a little more on that. Basically, it's saying the VP Finance has the ability to work with student groups to come to some kind of agreement, and if they seem to be not really interested in paying attention, the VP Finance has a little more leverage because it's essentially saying, if you guys can't work this out, I'm going to turn it over to the judicial board, and they're not really concerned with satisfying both of your needs. They're just going to try and come up with whatever's the best situation going forward. So if you want something to meet both needs, let's actually sit here and work something out.
Okay. Any other points for discussion? Vice President Hassanali. Vice President Patrick.
On the previous question.
No.
Move to table.
Any dissent? All right. The bill has been moved to the table. Is there any other new business? All right, seeing none, we'll move into our advisor's report, but it doesn't look like Colleen is here. She's not, okay, so we'll move into announcements. President Nicklich.
I guess I can say this word for word. Relay for Life Friday, be there.
Okay. Vice President Douglas.
On that note, where's my sign-up sheet?
Good. Vice President Hassanali.
Just so everyone's aware, last year for Relay for Life, when we gave out our gourmet and grilled cheese sandwiches, there was over a half an hour wait for them. They are that good.
Okay. Representative Cummins.
Hey, don't forget to come to the Teaching Excellence Awards next Tuesday. It's gonna be really classy and stuff, and there's gonna be some really cool teachers that are already like RCPs and stuff, and so it was really cool.
Okay. Representative Hernandez.
So I know some of you have been wondering this. The date that I will be going on Jeopardy is Friday.
Wait. Okay.
Friday, July 3rd. And reminders will be going out close to the day.
Good.
Yes,
Are you aware that, Representative Hernandez, are you aware that you agreed to split your winnings with the speaker? Now you are. Vice President Petrick.
Is Representative Hernandez aware that he's awesome?
Vice President Douglas.
Two things about this sheet that I forgot to mention. The themes, each class has a theme this year. You don't have to participate, but if you feel like being awesome. And the second thing is, from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m., I have nobody signed up. I'm thinking maybe you want to not be doubled up with someone, or be doubled up with someone who also isn't signed up and sign up for these labs.
Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Representative Hammond. Adjourn. Can the new reps come up here really quick? New reps.
Dwayne.
Send me email. Yeah. You send the email that I sent Leah. I'll just send you the same thing. Just come up with some goals and how you want to reach out to your constituents. And what?
They're making me defend his wording. I gotta say, in principle, I actually agree with you, but I don't think it will matter in such a small amount.
Yeah, but I don't, so only in this context do I agree. I still think in principle, money does not equal free speech.
Yeah. I'll make this quick. I'm glad you guys came, especially if you're new, you're not new GA. This is a really good GA to watch. We got a lot of research. If you guys need some more information, old GAs are on case.tv, so you can look at old GAs just to see how representative works. Is everybody gonna be able to make a meeting tomorrow, Wednesday at 7? Okay? You wish me off. No more than an hour. I'm thinking a half an hour, 45 minutes. Okay? Basically, we're talking about the responsibilities of representatives.
Do we have him in the room or not? Okay, that's what I was thinking.
We're talking about, we're not going to you guys are running out of we're going to transition. So we're going to find some, I guess we look forward to seeing you all there. Okay? Keep the date, inauguration, the 23rd. It's mandatory, so you guys keep sworn. It's not longer than an hour and a half.